Back 4 Blood is a really good game. I'm absolutely loving it. The beta's only been playable for a couple of days now, and I've already played it for a very unhealthy amount of time. I love it. I was so excited for this game, and I was quite upset when it got pushed back, but we're here now, and it isn't, you know, letting our hopes down. It is a nice experience, a really good game. That being said, in its current state, I don't think it will reach that legendary status that Left 4 Dead has. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. And honestly, I don't think it would be too difficult for the developers to fix these problems and allow the game to have a very bright future. So, first of all, I'm going to talk about the sound design. As you guys know, if you do watch my channel, I am very big on sound. A lot of my stuff is to do with sound. I like sound. And I'm going to be taking games audio into big consideration a lot of the time, and Back 4 Blood's audio is absolutely beautiful. A lot of the gunshots are some of the best weaponry sounds I've heard in a video game. For instance, the Vector. Oh my god, the Vector is my favourite gun by far. It just shreds through them. It feels like a power trip in your hands. I absolutely love it. Everything else in the game sounds really good. You know, the zombies, they sound Left 4 Dead-y. They sound very Left 4 Dead-y. They have a lot of the same sounds. Everything else in the game just sounds right, you know, like footsteps and all of that. It just sounds right. With audio design, everything sounds really juicy. But we have, this also introduces one of our biggest issues with the game. And it's not just going to be an audiophiles issue, it's going to be a casual player's issue as well, which is going to be the Special Infected's audio. In Left 4 Dead, if a Special Infected spawns, you bloody well know about it. There is a very clear, distinct sound letting you know that A, an infected has spawned, and B, what type it is. With this game, Back 4 Blood tries to do that, but it fails. A lot of the time you can't hear the sounds at all. They're way too quiet, they're not present enough. And to be fair, a lot of them, as far as I can tell, just don't have spawn sounds. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like only 1 or 2 of the Special Infected actually have sounds to notify you of their existence. And generally speaking, the only 2 that I can pinpoint would be the jumpy ones that shoot shit at you. You can hear those, sometimes it's fairly quiet. And the other one, the most consistent one to hear, would be the wall zombies. You can hear those motherfuckers from a mile away, which is kind of ironic considering they're meant to be like spring traps. They're meant to be jump scares, they're meant to be surprise attacks, and yet they're the one zombie that you can actually hear coming. So, I hope that they do fix that, because A, they're quiet as shit, and B, they're not iconic enough. I can't tell the difference between any of them if I do hear any of them. Like, all I know is that something's happening. I don't know which one it is, I don't know where it is, I just know some form of zombie has spawned, so be ready for literally anything. And I don't think that's a good thing. And whilst we're on the topic of the biggest issue of the game and Special Infected, let's cover both topics at once. The Special Infected, which I think are the biggest letdown in this game. The Special Infected are what makes Left 4 Dead, but they're also what breaks Back 4 Blood. The Special Infected in this game, I hate to say it, but in all honesty, they are just shit. Their visual designs aren't great at all. Their audio design is obviously, as previously mentioned, very lackluster. And their behaviour in-game and their mechanics involved with counterplaying them is not pleasant compared to Left 4 Dead. It's not as clear-cut, and you end up feeling a bit shit no matter what happens. Apart from with the wall zombies, my experience with them is always nice. Right, so let's talk about the Jumpy Boys first. So, as far as I'm aware, the devs mentioned that there are, you know, however many main types of Special Infected, but then there are subtypes of each of those variants. I don't know if they're just not implemented into the beta or what, but I haven't experienced that. At least, if I have, I couldn't tell. The special infected seem to all have everything at once. Like the jumpy, you know, string attacked people that hold you in place, they obviously fire their little goo that turns into tentacles and roots you in position, which is what you would expect from the standard one. But they also knock you and displace you whilst rooting you at the same time, which feels like that's 2 in 1. Because in Left 4 Dead, you know, you're not going to get, for instance, a spitter, right? They're not going to shoot acid on the floor and throw you 10 feet backwards. They're just going to shoot acid on the floor. Well, this guy will knock you up in the air and tentacle you at the same time, which means you have no air control, and 9 times out of 10 you're getting thrown off the map. So if you're anywhere, not even like at a dangerous level, but if you're just remotely close to the edge of the map and one of these motherfuckers hits you, because once again you can't hear them coming, you're dead. Because you're A, thrown off the boat, because that's where it happens a lot of the time. You're thrown off the boat or whatever edge of the map you're on, and you're also rooted while that's happening. You know, you're tentacled up, your controls are locked, so you can't direct your character to not jump off the edge, which is pretty fucked. It's not pleasant. They are super jumpy, which makes it quite nice and mechanically intensive to shoot them when they're going nuts. They die fairly quickly, which makes it worth the difficult tracking. They're generally quite good, apart from, I don't know if it's a bug or what, but you know, the fact that they can tentacle you and throw you flying at the same time doesn't actually seem fair. I think just tentacling you is fair enough. Next up is the worst infected in terms of presence, and that's going to be the boomers. I don't know what their official name is called in game, but they're the knockoff Left 4 Dead boomers. I don't see any variants of these, I just see boomers. They puke on you and they explode when you kill them. The puke does spawn a small horde, but since it's only small, it's easily dealt with and has nowhere near the presence of the Left 4 Dead boomer. But it's annoying because A, it's fucking huge. I get the Left 4 Dead boomer's fat, but it's like regular person height. These motherfuckers are huge. These are bigger than Left 4 Dead tanks. And sure, I mean, I don't know why they did that, to be honest. It just takes away from the experience. It makes the game feel really, I don't know, cartoony or something. I don't know. They're way too big. But the thing that's really annoying about them is, obviously in Left 4 Dead, they will puke on you if you're close to them, which is why you need to get away to A, avoid being sicked on, and B, avoid being exploded. With Back 4 Blood, they can puke on you from fucking miles away. Now, of course, once again, since that puke only spawns a small horde, it's somewhat balanced out because sure, they're almost guaranteed to puke on you, but it doesn't do as much. But in the same time, it just makes the experience feel lackluster. I would much rather a high risk, high reward than a low risk, low reward. And right now, you know, they can puke on you from miles away and not much happens when they do so. So really, I think the devs need to A, make this motherfucker smaller, because it just looks out of place and sort of takes back from the experience. And B, I think they should just reduce the range on it and give it more presence when it does actually puke on you, because it just feels like a guaranteed lackluster effect. And for me, the biggest problem zombie is the Tallboy. I think that's literally their in-game name. The tall motherfuckers. They are, in my opinion, the most potent special infected by far. And my opinion of them now is slightly different to on release day, you know, 3 days later. On release day, it felt like they could take 1,000,000 bullets before dying. Like, they, honestly, no word of a lie, it felt like you could kill 2 or 3 Left 4 Dead tanks in the time that you could kill one Tallboy. Now on day 3, I don't know if they've hotfixed it or what, but I can one-clip them now. Which is weird because my accuracy hasn't changed and I'm using the same guns. So, I'm not sure if they've hotfixed it. I'm not sure if I was getting bugged zombies that like had quadruple health or something. Just keep an eye out for that. I don't know if they're special variants or what, but some of these motherfuckers literally won't die. I've had lobbies where all 4 of us, you know, have to dump 3 clips each into one of them before they finally drop. And these often spawn in fucking 2s and 3s. They're the strongest type of infected by far, and for some reason they spawn in clusters, which doesn't seem fair. If anything, some of the other special infected, the weaker ones, should spawn in clusters, but ayo. Now, the issue with these guys is mainly the fact that they won't die, because their CC is very strong. They'll pick up a survivor and grab them and hold them in the air, which does deal damage over time, plus it completely, locks their controls. So it immobilizes them and does damage over time. I mean, the ones that shoot the tentacles, those, lock you in position, but they don't do damage over time. So honestly, it doesn't seem like it's too potent. The issue is they will hold on to you until you die. And because they can sometimes take forever to kill, you're going to be guaranteed a death. And once again, you don't hear them coming because there's no spawn audio. So in close quarters environments, they can be one right round the corner that instantly grabs you. Your teammates, they're shooting and shooting, it doesn't die. It drains your entire health bar. And what does it do once it kills a player and it's still alive? It grabs the next one. On day one, I did experience a scenario where, it grabbed one person and the other 3 were unloading clips and clips and clips into it. And it killed that first person, still alive after all those magazines. And then it grabs a second person. And the remaining 2 survivors are dumping clips and clips and clips into him still. And then he kills the second one. And then the Tallboy finally died the second it grabbed the third survivor. And now, I don't know about the random players, I don't know what their accuracy was like, but I wasn't missing many bullets, if any at all. My accuracy is pretty good now because I've been bumming out first-person shooters for a while. And especially considering these guys aren't hard to hit, they stand in place, it's hard to miss, and they take up a large amount of space. I'm not sure what that was. I'm not sure if it was a variant. I'm not sure if it was a bug. I'm not sure if it's been hotfixed, but after playing today, I can one-clip these guys now without even hitting them in their target zone, so I don't know. But that's problematic, to say the least. So they definitely need to take a look and see what's going on with their Tallboy health. Now, in my opinion, the biggest need of a buff and the easiest buff would be for the wall jump scare trap zombies. They're attached to the wall, and when you walk by them, they come flying out at you and pin you down like a hunter in Left 4 Dead. And it's a nice little jump scare. It's actually a nice touch. It's not a ridiculous one. I quite like it. The issue with them is that you can hear these ones from miles away. These are like the only special infected with proper audio, which is ironic because they're meant to be surprise trap zombies, and funnily enough, they're the only ones that you're aware of the entire time. And as well as that, it takes 1 damage to destroy them. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, it will kill it in 1. So like 1 bullet, 1 punch, 1 knife, 1 anything will destroy it. Which is, I think it's fine. I think for a trap, if this zombie is designed well, it will be a zombie that you only have half a second to react to. So, having a low health is fine. The issue is just that, once again, this is meant to be a surprise zombie, but it's the only zombie that doesn't surprise you because you can actually hear it coming. So I think they should reduce the radius of the audio for this zombie, and at the same time fix the audio for all of the other special infected. The characters are hit and miss on this game. Some of the characters have very strong and likable personalities. For example, Evangelo is literally Michelangelo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Everything about him, personality-wise, is one-to-one. And the name's not too different either, so not sure if they're trying too hard to hide it there. And the other survivor with a very strong personality would be Mum. And she's, well, the mum of the group. She's very loving, caring, and, all of that. The other characters don't really have personalities. There's at one point in the story, like in a certain map, where Holly starts talking about some of her experiences. And this is meant to be a character building moment, but it's executed horrendously, because you're at this neighborhood and, you know, someone says, "Hey, Holly, are you okay?" And she says, "No, I need to say it, I need to hear it come from my own mouth." And then she starts talking about the beginning of the outbreak and what happened to her family and how she reacted. And it's meant to be a very either touching moment or just building, you know, some good backstory for the character. The issue is, the conversation isn't finished. It's like the character building conversation is the second half of a conversation. Some of the audio is literally missing. It sounds like the audio file is corrupt, and for some reason it only starts playing halfway through the conversation. So the one attempt this game has at trying to build a character for Holly, it just doesn't work. I don't know if it's because it's a beta and they wanted to keep it locked off to some degree, or if it's a bug and it is literally cutting out, or if this is what they thought would work, but it's not. I hope they look into that and give Holly a full conversation here so you can actually give a fuck, because right now it's executed really badly. And other than that, there's no real fucks given for any other character. They're all pretty blank. Now, whilst we're on the topic of characters, one thing that's not so important to the gameplay would be the, you know, personalities and the backstories of them. But they all have their own individual passives. And some passives are actually quite potent and some are kind of shit. But I'd say there's a fair few potent passives, which is good. It gives players a wide range of, you know, useful abilities. The issue is, despite these potent abilities, there's only one character that anyone wants to play, and that's Holly. The simple fact is, Holly's the only character that's appealing visually. I'm not saying every character has to be like a fucking supermodel or some shit, but like, every other character looks fucking hideous, and not many people really want to play a character they know is hideous. It is what it is, you know. You can give a character a really strong ability, but some people, well, in fact, a lot of players do want to look nice whilst doing so. I know it's meant to be a gritty survival horror experience, and no one's going to be looking tip-top condition during that time. But for instance, Holly, sure, she's an absolute mess, right? She's got blood all over her, her hair's fucked, her clothes are fucked, but at least she's a visually appealing character to some extent. Not many other characters are really. Like, Evangelo, he looks kind of fresh, like he's got a fresh boxed off trim, you know, his eyebrows are kind of fresh, his facial hair's kind of fresh, he's definitely got a straight razor somewhere in that survival kit, but still no one wants to play as him, because, you know, he's dressed a bit shit, and his hair's a bit shit apart from his boxed up trim. The only character in the game, in players' eyes, is Holly, and this isn't just me saying my opinion. I am genuinely yet to find a player who wants to play anything other than Holly. Every match, people are trying to insta-lock Holly as fast as possible. And it can be partially due to her amazing passive, although once again, Mum has a really good passive. Mum instantly revives one player per match, whereas normally reviving takes quite a while, which does help a lot in hard sections. Holly's passive is really good as well though. She gets 10 stamina for every zombie she kills, which is really good because this game's stamina is really bad. Which is the final problem that I have with this game. Stamina is really bad in this game. Left 4 Dead doesn't have sprinting, and this game does, so you would already think that this game is faster paced than Left 4 Dead. But it couldn't be further from the truth. This game is much slower than Left 4 Dead. Because A, when you're not sprinting, you're walking, which is slow as fuck. And B, this game's sprint speed is still slower than Left 4 Dead's walk speed. The difference between walking and sprinting in this game is tiny. Your sprint speed is barely faster than walking. It's barely an improvement in terms of movement speed. And your stamina bar does run out after like 10 seconds of running, which is normally fair. But the thing is, because you're not covering much distance in those 10 seconds, it feels really fucking horrible. They don't have to change much with the stamina system to make it work, they just need to increase the sprint movement speed, because being able to cover more distance with the same amount of stamina in the same amount of time would fix all of the problems. And the reason that this is connected to Holly's passive is because what you'll do with Holly is you'll get yourself the baseball bat, which she spawns with, which is really good for her passive, and you'll just start swinging. And if you aim for the head, you can one-shot, you know, groups of 8 zombies all in one swing, which will give you a fuck ton of stamina. So in the really difficult sections of the game, you just go Holly, right? And you just swing with the baseball bat and get that pretty much infinite stamina. And the best bit is that there's also a card that gives you 2 health back every time you kill a zombie. This also synergizes ridiculously well with Holly, which does make her stand out as just the best character that's available in the beta, by far, in my opinion. You can hard carry a game with Holly, and sure, with other characters you can carry to a decent extent, but I think Holly can literally just win the game solo dolo, really, because of A, her passive, and B, that card that synergizes with her passive. Because if you're just swinging a baseball bat infinitely, getting infinite stamina back, and getting infinite health back whilst doing so, you become unkillable whilst killing everything, whilst having stamina still, so you can then sprint away when you've had enough. Holly is definitely by far the best character, and to be honest, even if they change it so that, you know, her passive doesn't synergize as well with other cards, or, you know, if they just nerfed her so she was really shit, I still think Holly would be the most popular character, because once again, she's the only character that isn't butt fucking ugly. And unfortunately, that is something that players take into account when playing it or picking a character. That being said, although I have gone into deep detail about the issues this game has, I've pretty much covered every issue this game has. There are some small bugs, but they're beta bugs. They're going to be ironed out on the release. For instance, when you're reloading, the game can still think you're aiming down sights when you're reloading, which means your movement speed is lowered even more. And also, if you pull out a melee weapon, the game can still think that you're aiming down sights on a melee weapon, which means that your movement speed is ridiculously slow, which you can fix by changing weapons, aiming, unaiming, then changing back. Once again, beta is, those are going to be fixed, it's a beta. And that being said, this game's really fun, and I enjoy it a lot. And if they do iron out, these problems mentioned in this video, this game can easily reach Left 4 Dead status. And as much as I have covered these negative parts of the game, I am 100% in love with it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your opinions on the game in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.